future of Web3. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our panelists. So we would have different players and also as well as builders in different space. So please join me in welcoming Rongxin Chang, Head of Developer Ecosystem from Cobalt Wallet. We also have Brandon Kumar from the co-founder of Layer 3. I hope that somebody has seen him somewhere in the room. We also have Jason Dominic, CEO co-founder of On-Chain Labs. We have Stan Manilov, Technical Product Lead, BlockSense. And then we also have the moderator, Yu Yang Guo, staff engineer at Coinbase. So hopefully we will be able to discuss what are some of the key takeaways from today and what is the infrastructure for the future of Web3. So please come in. We might be taking it a bit slowly while waiting for Brandon, but please feel free to take it away, Yu Yang. So please, guys.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Please take a seat, everyone. Okay. But yeah, again, many of us have no doubt that Web3 still has a vast unfilled potential to drastically change our financial infrastructure and much beyond that. So here, as the grand finale of today's event, we want to all step back and think as a visionary and think about what the future of Web3 infrastructure really look like. So maybe let's just start with a quick round of intro, everyone, your role, and what do you focus on currently on the Web3 infrastructure? Maybe starting with Rongxin.
Yeah, hi, hello. Thank you, Yang. My name is Rongxin, and I lead developer ecosystems for Kobo. And my focus right now is just, and Kobo is a institutional wallet service. So you can think of it as one of the biggest competitors to Fireblocks. What I do every day is focusing on developer experience. So how do I make it easier for a developer to integrate with our service?
Thank you, Rongxin. And Jason?
Testing. All right. So I'm Jason. As the intro said, I'm founder and CEO of On-Chain Labs. We focus primarily on building on-chain payment infrastructure. So we can build really exciting use cases on those. One of them is the on-chain ramp, which effectively lets you buy directly on-chain rather than having to on-ramp first, and then use that gas to go on a DEX and then swap for what you want. Now you'll be able to fulfill your end intent in one transaction. So that's what we do.
Very cool. And over to you, Stan.
Hey everybody, I'm Stan. I'm from BlockSense Network. I'm a tech head. That's how I call myself these days. And what we do is we build Oracle infrastructure so that you can be the Oracle provider. So we have permissionless Oracle creation SDK, and then we use ZK to make things cheaper and scale better. And then we hope to create a new wave of innovation, basically, by allowing any type of data to be pushed to any chain, because we're chain agnostic. So that's a quick intro. And it's great to be in the company of you folks.
Test. Yeah, as you can all see, we have a very diverse panel with lots of different opinions and different perspectives, so hopefully everyone is in for a fun ride. But I know it's the last session of the day, might be a little sleepy now, so you guys are not prepared for this, but we have a rapid fire question for everyone. So Stan, let's start with you. 3 questions, no hesitation.
Excellent, let's go.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Thai food or Italian food?
Thai.
Too much hesitation.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, BTC or Ethereum?
Ethereum.
Okay, great. You passed. Okay. Yeah, over to you, Jason. Bunnies or bears?
Oh, bears.
Okay. Pad Thai or Khao Pa? I can't pronounce this right.
I guess, is there a third option? I don't know, either or.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. I cannot pronounce Thai. Proof of stake or proof of work?
Proof of stake.
Okay, nice. Thank you. But too much hesitation still. Yeah. Okay, Rongxin, over to you.
Not fast enough.
Frogs or turtles?
Turtles.
Okay. Coke or Sprite?
Coke.
Hot wallets or cold wallets?
Cold wallets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Well done, everyone. Okay, hopefully everyone's awake now. Now let's get to a little bit more serious question. So for everyone, in a short few sentences, how do you personally define Web3 infrastructure? Because everyone has a different definition here. Right? And after that, what's one thing that you feel we're actually doing right, doing well in this space? Anyone, feel free to start.
Well, I mean, there's, Web3 infrastructure, there's different angles to it. For me, obviously, it's everything that's on-chain. The part that we're doing right, I think right now, there is a huge focus on going on-chain first. I think this matters a lot. Centralized and custodian type of experiences have gotten us this far. We couldn't have gotten here without them. But I think now the space is getting more comfortable in going on-chain first. There's a lot of providers that enable this. Obviously, Coinbase is working hard on that. I think that's what we're doing right now for infrastructure.
Going on-chain first. Thank you. What about you, Dan?
I like to think of a Web3 infra mostly as a network of networks. I'm a simple man, simplify things in my head. And the one thing we do right is I like to, again, see it from the social perspective. I think what's great about it is that everybody's so open and talks to everybody, and there's a lot of cooperation and very little isolation, silos. I think that's a great thing.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, you see all of the leaders of different L2s, like even different L1s, talking to each other, collaborating. Yeah, it's really impressive. How about you, Runsi?
Yeah, and I think of Web3 infrastructure as tools, services that keep Web3 permissionless and free to use. And I think anything that protects certain values, infrastructures that protect those values, are, in my mind, infrastructure for Web3.
And what we're doing well?
Oh, what works well? I don't know what works well, actually.
Nothing.
Wow, so much confidence.
We got a long way to go still, It's not all working well.
What Rongxin is trying to say is we are still early, and there's a lot of work for us to do.
Yeah. I think what works well, honestly, is the fact that it's still up and running. That, after 15 years or how many years, it hasn't totally collapsed, and even though user growth is not as fast as we want, people are still coming in and they're still alive.
It's resilient, right?
Yes, I think that's amazing. Yes.
Thank you. And I can already see everyone has already different definitions of Web3 infrastructure already. So here comes, another generic question before we dive into very specific ones. Forward-looking, if you had a magic wand, what's one thing you'd want to improve or change in the Web3 infrastructure space right now?
Well, for us, one of the key components that we'd love to participate and solve is interoperability. I think, we're in a moment where there's not going to be less assets, there's not going to be less chains. So in a future where certainty is going into more of everything, ultimately, interoperability would be key. So if I had a magic wand, which I don't, so I'm working hard on it, I would sway that wand and make it happen overnight.
Yeah. The magic wand is all of us working hard together towards interoperability,
yeah.
Connected network of ecosystem instead of islands. Yeah, I gotta go back and message my team to work hard on it. How about you, Rongxin or Stan? Who wants to go?
I come from a particular background that is focusing on performance. So I have a PhD in compilers and worked with Google for infrastructure and Web2. So that's just, I'm traumatized that way. So I just see always benefit from more performance. So if I had a magic wand, I make it faster, bigger, more data, more transactions, bigger scale. But to be honest, I think Jason's answer is probably a better one. If things work better together, maybe that's the first thing we'd love to have, and then make it faster.
I do agree with the scalability part, though. Like, look at the TPS we have right now compared to Web2 infrastructure. We still have a long way to go.
It's good for now.
It's good for now. Like, we need to bring in more traffic. Yeah. Okay. How about you, Ronsin?
Yeah. And I think that developer experience is one of the most lacking things. And I know we talk about it at every DevCon, at every conference, but at the end, everybody forgets about it. But I think it's the ability for a beginner and intermediate developer to come in and easily get started within one line of code. Right? Like somebody that doesn't have much context, run one line of code, get your entire infrastructure up and running, be able to integrate with your contracts, have a simple front end up and running. And I think that is simply not there right now. Even if we look at like test nets, if you want to integrate with like Uniswap's like testnet contracts, like I don't even know where it is. You have to go 5 layers down in their docs to find this. And then when you actually try to integrate with it, you realize there's a bunch of configs missing, pools don't work, and you don't even have a token to integrate with. So nothing really works. And I think that's something I really want to solve. Yeah.
I'm really happy you're saying this because at BlockSense we're actually trying to solve exactly that. we're trying to connect every network, have a very easy SDK to access things. So it almost feels like we were like talk to each other before this. Say this. Thanks.
It's a shared problem. Being builders on chain and interacting with DEX. It's different versions and all of those things. They don't operate the same. It's all different. So yeah.
Yeah. Do I also get a magic wand?
Of course.
Okay,
of course.
all right. I think my magic wand would be user experience. I think right now our user experience far from, like getting mass adoption to all of the users out there. Like I think of the real world analogy of like when people land on a website, we send them first to the bank and then ask them to go to the post office, ask them to go to this office, the other office, and finally they finish their work. But we're really supposed to be a one-stop shop. You one click, you accomplish your mission.
And if I may, I think we would be there if people don't know they're using Web3, when they use
Exactly.
Web3 without knowing it. So it's actually transparent, but that's great UX.
Yeah, if it would be a success if all of the Web3, if no one's talking about Web3 infrastructure anymore, right? So that's the future working towards, like get ourselves out of jobs. I'm just kidding there. Okay. So maybe a bit more like sort of more deep dive question. So I think when we talk about the future, right, we're really imagining like every single person in the world benefiting from Web3. And why are we not reaching the mass adoption yet? What are we missing? What can we be doing?
Well, I mean, this segues into your magic wand, and I think it's a UX problem, that's for sure. And when you look at the last decade plus, Web2 has solved it. Experience is seamless. It's obviously mostly centralized and everything, but the bottom line is that it's created expectations. And the consumer and the people interacting, they've become quite lazy. And anything that has a simple or a little friction, they quit really easily. We're no longer, the masses, they will not go through what we've gone through, this steep learning curve. It's just too big. So I feel based on the answer I gave earlier as well, I think we are very near being able to offer Web 2 level of user experience and abstraction of all those complexities, and what you said with regards to going to the bank and post office and all of those things. That's essentially what we're doing in creating kind of this one seamless product where you can go from discovery and effectively holding an on-chain token within a few minutes in the same dedicated kind of pre-built hosted gateway where effectively the person did not know they were using Web3 infrastructure. And I think once we solve that, we can truly start hoping or being confident that the people are going to come. But until we get there, until we still have to handheld every single person and send them how-to guides, and it's just never going to get there. Unfortunately, I personally am not confident that the masses will come until they just don't know.
Yeah, totally, and really glad On-Chain Labs is working on a lot of these experiences and solutions. Anything else to add about mass adoption?
I had a quick idea, which was I completely agree with what you're saying, Jason. One thing that I was thinking about, though, is also education is important. So it's great if things are easy to use, but sometimes people need a little bit of hand-holding, you know?
But to be fair, I think, you know, beyond the fact of knowing kind of what you're getting into in the sense of, like if it's a specific asset or there's like risk involved or beyond that, you know, it's been decades since we no longer read booklets on, you know, how to assemble something. You know, there's no guides on anything anymore. And I think, you know, Apple was really good at you get this really, really complicated thing, but when was the last time you looked at one of those booklets on how it works? You don't. And that's essentially going back to what I just said, is people's expectation is you don't need to learn anything to adopt something. And if there is some form of condition around learning first, then you have friction as well.
Well, you have something else? No? Okay. Well, I actually think that I totally agree, but I also think there's a counter argument to that, which is if you want things to be somewhat decentralized, like you want every user to be able to integrate some cryptographic library into their phone or into their service or to build on top of this, then there is some minimal amount of understanding that they need to have in order to integrate with something. And I think that we should make these things as easy as possible to abstract away as much as possible. But at the same time, I think it's important for people to one day understand how, for instance, cryptography works, like how ZK works. I think that is just like a beautiful, like magical thing that everybody should try and understand at some point in their life. And I think it's just beneficial to them. And I think that maybe the last thing I would say to mass adoption is actually around tokens. So I think that in Web3, it's essentially a company being able to go public before they have found product market fit. Right? You can launch a token within a year. You can launch it within 2 years. And there's like float. So I think companies don't go through as much of the fire as they had, let's say in Web 2, where they're forced to go and like sell to one person, another person, a third person. And I think that's something that holds us back a little bit.
In a sense, we need to increase accountability for ourselves to build, find product market fit before, trying to get money out of this, right?
Yeah, Uniswap didn't launch a token until like much later on in their life cycle, and I think it'll be good to go back to some of that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And then switching gears a little bit, we know we talk about real world assets a lot. And a lot of the really cool use cases of Web3, like how we imagine, Web3 to change our future, infrastructure, is around like how we can easily interact with real-world assets. I know you guys are building like oracles or making frameworks to build oracles. Any insights you can offer from that?
Well, I'll try to be quick because I see we're running out of time. So I'm just going to say that we treat all data equally, so to speak. Our initial offering is a chain link drop-in replacement, so that's data feeds for prices. But we want to make it possible so anybody can bring any data they can think of onto the blockchain. So it could be weather data, it could be sports events, and it could be real-world assets. So we think of that as any other data, so it fits in our model. And then it's very important segment because that's where a lot of the revenue is, a lot of the value is. So we believe because today DeFi is very big, so we see this as like another huge opportunity. So yeah, we really care about enabling this.
What's one of the biggest challenges right now with oracles?
With oracles specifically? I'll have to think quite a bit about this. So I'll pass.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So I guess one last question actually targeted for Rongxin is, you work with wallets a lot. And how do you feel like our wallet space is evolving, especially around the advancements of account abstraction, smart wallet? Do you think we're heading towards the right direction? What good things will it bring for us?
So, Kobo focuses much more on the institution side. And I think now we will see two worlds splitting. There's the institutional world and there's the DeFi world. But I also see us one day coming back together where the institutions, they ultimately want access to things on-chain because if you were able to make so much money outside, you wouldn't want to come in here. So I think there needs to be ways for them to have, for instance, access control, things that they are used to manage their money, but at the same time, not sacrifice too much of the decentralization and the values that I think make Web3 very, very important. So I think it's really this like bridging these two worlds. And I think there are companies doing it. I mean, you are doing it in some ways. And I believe there should be more. But we ultimately want to convert these people into Web3 people. Like, we want them to value all of this stuff that we value, but it takes time, you have to convince them slowly.
All right, that's the great energy we needed to try to conclude this session. We'd love the panel to give everyone one thing to remember or take away from what the future of Web3 infra look like. So the requirement is very strict. Okay, so first use one sentence. What is the future of Web3 infra? And then one word. All right, who wants to start?
Jason is great at starting.
So a sentence. I mean, I only have one thing in mind, which is, Web3 gives the opportunity for true ownership. And the one word is empowerment.
Very cool, very cool.
I was going to initially repeat my previous thing about, faster, bigger, more data and so on, but I like the ownership thing.
Yeah.
So just my one word would be exciting. That's what it is, it's exciting.
Nice, nice. Rongxin, you?
They said all the good things, so
You wanted me to start.
Yeah. No. They said all the beautiful stuff, and I will maybe take slightly the other side, which I think, like relationships, I think it can be a little bit complicated sometimes, and that's my one word.
Do we have time for that?
Wait, what's the one word? I heard like five.
Complicated.
Complicated. All right. And then I guess since unfortunately Brendan is not here, I'm gonna go with mine as well. My one sentence is, which I copied from Jesse, the base creator, is on-chain is the new online. Because we call it Web3, Web2, right? And my one word is, oh gosh, I didn't think about this.
Now you're on the spot.
All right, okay. The future is bright. Okay, maybe I can change that. World changing, revolutionary. Okay, something revolutionary.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
That was 8 words, I think.
Okay, but unfortunately, one of our panelists couldn't make it today, but thank you so much, Rongxin, Stan, and Jason for this amazing conversation.
Pleasure.
And thank you all today for coming. I really appreciate that. And back to
Thank you, guys. Maybe the panelists, could you
Thank you.
stay at the stage for a group photo? So we would have the group photo right now. Very thankful for the energy and positive note on how the Web3 infrastructure looks like. And I hope that these guys will be instrumental in making that happen, because you guys have been recorded saying all of these things, so please walk your talk.